The only thing good about today is the fact that we are on time, which is a rarity in our case. But welcome to the post match of day 3 of India Australia. Our energy level almost tells us about how the day went by, and the fact that we postponed this 30 minutes late just shows of how.
Processing the day.
Yeah, a bit of that. And yeah, it's a lot to do with how the Indian batters went about their business. And of course, it's a disappointment. And we will talk about all of that. Again, thank you so much for joining us on a Monday afternoon. A lot of people will be busy.
What's up,
I'm
Shrikant?
assuming with jobs or like school or college or whatever.
What's
Hi
up,
Rohit.
Rohit?
Hi Shrikant. What's up? So yeah, we will talk about everything there is to talk about. We will talk about India's batting. We will talk about India's bowling in the
Yeah.
morning session. We'll talk about everything that we need to talk about. We will also talk about rain and the next few days. And we'll also talk about Australia's a little perspective. We had a comment yesterday about how in the end we should talk about the neutral perspective and how and what should Australia do and their point of view, which was
Yeah.
very interesting, which we will do because yeah, that is interesting. Pratik Moharana, India losing under Gumby coaching. Yeah, it's been a trend
Quite
at this
a
point.
few losses.
Hey Vasu, what's up? It's
What's
been
up?
a while. It's glad to see a lot of you guys have joined us. We will start this straight away for those of you guys joining us for the first time or just joining us for the I don't know, fifth or sixth time. We have multiple segments. We talk about the positives, negatives, what India should do. And we also have a morning recap just because the test match starts at around 5:15, 5:20, I want to say. They're starting way early, which is also why we have a morning recap, which is what we're going to get into. So the Australian team got about 40 runs. Pat Cummins, Stark, and Alex Carey taking the attack on. They were looking to score with intent today morning. Akashdeep finally got his reward. He did get one wicket. Siraj, like almost in the last couple of tests, gets the tailenders out after they attack. So he did get 2 wickets. And Jasprit Bumrah also got Stark out. I thought that over was exceptional. The first ball, Stark hits him for a 6. And then he comes back, I think, with a bouncer and then a slower ball and then a
beautiful
good,
setup,
a full end delivery. Stark drives it, gets a wicket. Bumrah finishes off with a 6 for. Is one of the only good things that happened today, but we will talk about the rest of the positive. But that is what happened in the morning session, and then there was rain, and then India came on to bat, and then there was rain again, and there was a lot of interruptions with rain. But that's what happened in the morning session when you guys were probably asleep, and good for you that you were asleep. But let's talk about the positives for the day, the some positives that we might have.
I like how even before we got into positives, we have crick fans saying, please don't do positives. There is nothing literally to talk there. But I mean, just because we have this segment and everything cannot be going bad, the only positive for the day I thought was KL Rahul with the bat, especially considering how the rest of the top order played, considering the amount of rain stoppages, at least 4 times, if I'm not wrong, 4 times probably. And so, keeping all of that in mind, KL Rahul played with ultimate resolve and resilience. It was great to watch the technique, the way he batted, the way he applied himself. It's great. He's still out there. He will be batting tomorrow as well. So, that's one thing. And apart from that, I think the only other thing that I'm sort of happy about is that India did not let the tail run away with the
That
game
is
and score
very,
way
very
too many
true.
runs. They still ended up getting 40 for those last 3 wickets, which I'll take it at this point because India has fared far worse against tailenders in the
Yes.
past.
Against the same tail.
Against the same tailenders that too. So yeah, in that sense, it is good. But yeah, this is all we have for positives.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk about the blunders of the day, and of course, we are going to talk about the batting lineup. We will go in depth with this topic, and we will get into Virat Kohli in a bit. But let's start off with the top order. Yashasvi Jaiswal gets a boundary off the first ball, and then gives his wicket away in the second ball. We spoke about this in our last live about how Yashasvi Jaiswal, he might be young, he might have his style and all of that. I mean, today, some might call it unlucky because he did play a good shot but straight to mid-wicket. If it was a T20 or an ODI game, you could excuse it. But it's the test format. It's the third test match. It's the third day of the test match after being on the field for almost 2 days. After the opposition has scored 400 plus runs, you have to be a little more careful, especially because you're the only, if not one of the only batters in form this season. And the fact that you've scored so many runs and the fact that you've scored a century in the first test, it begs the question of how long can you give excuses to Yashasvi Jaiswal? How young is too young? He's now 18 test matches young, I want to say. How long can he go on giving his wicket away at the start of the innings? Because it's very important for him to continue, especially because he's in form and it's not every day you are in form. So he got to make this count. And then we got Shubman Gill, who again plays a cover drive and just like couldn't resist himself, throws his hands at it, gives his wicket away. I don't understand the intent of the Indian openers. I think the intent was just to... I cannot explain it because I can't find excuses for it. Day 3 of the test match. It's day 3 of the test match after the opposition has scored 400 runs. I don't know what your intent is. The only thing you had to do was play proper test match cricket. It's exactly what we spoke about yesterday. To stay disciplined. And which we just didn't do. And of course, Punt also did get out. It's a plan that they have against him. Punt, like they want Punt to play straight with a straight bat. As long as he's doing that, the Australians think they have the upper hand. And Punt did exactly that. I mean, he was unlucky because of the rain interruptions too. So it almost felt like he had to start. But that is no excuse. I mean, to be fair, Punt is having a bad series, but he's had an exceptional season. So you kind of cut him some slack. It's not... I mean, there are batters around him who have had bad series of series. And so he's just having one bad series, which is fine. So I think Punt can take his time. But let's talk about, of course, the man of the hour, the man who cannot just let the ball go, and that's Virat Kohli. We have few batting analysis. Pratap, do you want to take this forward?
I mean, if anyone was watching the broadcast, if they were watching on their phones on Disney Plus Hotstar or whatever it is, you would have seen this graphic come up multiple times. It's about how Kohli has been chasing all of those deliveries around 4th, 5th, 6th. I can even see some almost wide deliveries that he's chased. These are all his dismissals outside of Asia versus pace since 2020. And I mean, it's a clear map, right? Even someone with common sense would realize that Kohli is struggling to play the deliveries outside off stump. It's where he's most susceptible. And here too, you give him some slack when it's deliveries, maybe at least up till the 4th or even 5th stump at times. But just look at some of these deliveries. They're all over the place. And it's not like Kohli's been set up in a certain way or not like he's being enticed too often. Obviously, you have that cover region open, which is for him to sort of go for that cover drive. But what's happening is, hey, Crick fan, thanks for the super chat.
Oh, thank you so much for that. One of the data analysts, P-Dog, was hinting that senior guys in the team don't take the analysis presented to work on their weaknesses due to their ego. Your views definitely hinted towards Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. We will come to that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Go on.
And yeah, so I mean, we will get to that point about the analysis because we also have some views on that. But the point being that Kohli here has chased practically everything outside the off-stump. Even today, when he got out, he was chasing...
Even the first ball,
he chased it. And it's not just that, right? Because Kohli has had a lot of success playing the cover drive. But if you'll compare those cover drives where he's gotten boundaries to now, you will see that there is not as good weight transfer. He's just sort of hanging behind and his bat is just going forward towards the ball with no weight transfer. We've spoken about this in detail in a couple of videos as well.
That's true.
And yeah, like it's just very frustrating as an Indian fan because and even as a test cricket fan, because you don't want to see those kind of dismissals over and over. It's a known problem. At this point, it's just the Australians playing on Kohli's ego, not even a technical flaw per se. So yeah.
And we have another display of his again pitch map of how Hazelwood got him out. This match. And look at him. I mean, the fact that, like Pratap said, he chased the widest of the deliveries to play a cover drive. He comes at first ball, tries to attack, chases one outside off, and then he gets out at again one of the most widest ball that he could possibly chase. He does all of this and then gets out. It was very interesting because Michael Vaughan was talking about how Steve Smith being a problem solver. And that's exactly what he did yesterday. And coming into the crease, giving himself time, making those ugly runs. But in the end, he scored 100.
Yeah, true.
And for someone with that stature and for someone like a Virat Kohli to come in and not be able to do that time and again, it begs the question of why can't you just give a youngster a go? He will also score 100 in one of the match. Jesus Christ.
Rahul Guradia, thanks for the super chat. Number 1 cricket channel of India. I want to play cricket with you boys and get you out. We'll see if that happens.
Good Lord.
Thanks for that.
Rahul. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, the fact that Virat Kohli can't come out, it only begs the question of why can't you give a youngster a chance? He could possibly score 100 in the first innings.
Yeah.
Except you could say that he's learning after few failures, like a Yashasvi Jaiswal.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli is not the best batter in the team anymore. And he occupies the number 4 position. How long can he go on without scoring those runs?
Guys, please avoid spamming. We will take your questions. If you guys are having interactions in chat, pretty good, but avoid spamming.
Now, of course, we'll move on to the next segment, and that's top performances of the day.
Cool. We just have one top performer for today. You can see it on your screens. It's KL Rahul once again for his 33 not out. Looked solid, left the ball really well. Something that no other Indian batter has been doing at all. So kudos to KL Rahul for consistently doing that across the series. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing much more to add. Tomorrow, obviously, will be important for India. That's something we'll get into. But yeah, I think KL Rahul, considering the rain stoppages, the number of times he had to get out and get in once again, considering all of that, I think he's done a great job surviving. So yeah.
That's been the top performer of the day. And now let's take it to the stands. Let's get questions from you guys. And yeah, let's have a conversation about the disappointing day of Test
let's do
cricket.
this. Let's make a couple of moderators so that we can sort of handle the chat because it's getting a little spammy.
All right. Yes, let's get you guys. We were criticizing KL Rahul for lack of consistency. Hopefully this will be the start of his dominance. That is true. I was actually thinking about this.
Yeah.
The fact that for someone who shouldn't ordinarily be in the Test squad gets picked, and the fact that he is saving the Test team. Hey, cricket fan, thank you so much for that. One more theory I read was due to his diminishing eyesight, he's not able to judge properly.
Is this about Kohli? Rohit?
Yeah, is this about
Who's it
Kohli
about?
or Rohit? But yeah, the fact that KL Rahul is almost saving the innings just shows how bad of a situation we are in right now.
Not putting KL down, but for the amount of time he's taken to reach this point, ideally you would not have an Indian or any Test cricketer for that matter having gotten such a long rope to still be in the squad.
And it's great that he's making use of it.
It's
and
great,
he's applying himself well and he's doing the job. So that's great. Right, let's take the super chat question.
Yeah. A couple of...
Wow, I don't know how this works. Okay, yeah. One of the data analysts, P-Dog, was hinting that senior guys in the team don't take the analysis presented to work on their weaknesses due to their ego. Your views definitely hinted towards Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli.
Well, I don't know who it's hinted towards, but definitely they have all of that data to work with. If we sitting here can realize that there are certain situations that players are repeatedly getting into, there definitely seems to be someone who's not taking this data seriously. Having said that, there was a lot of discussion about how Kohli in the nets was practicing a lot of leaving the balls outside the off stump. But for it to not translate in a match means that, I mean, I don't know. It's either just that he does not have that mental restraint to not chase that delivery
anymore.
And I think I rarely ever agree with Sunil Gavaskar on comms or in any post-match. But what he said was so true, right? Sunil Gavaskar said that Kohli should look at Sachin's innings, the 241, where he kept leaving. Or just basically decided that he's not going to play in that quarter of the pitch, right? Of the field. He's not going to play through covers or like square cuts or whatever. And probably Kohli has to pull out something like that.
Yes.
Guys, I have gone dark. We have a light issue. But yeah, that's what it is. I think it's going to be important for Kohli to somehow realize that he cannot be chasing those deliveries outside off. And so coming back to the data analysis bit, it clearly seems to be the case that these guys have not been taking it seriously. Even with Travis Head, this is something that we did see. Cool. Zenith Rao asks or says, Indian batters erase the 194 against toss into bat, so you'll put off or spinning this test. Cool. I think the chat's moving too fast. I can't keep up. Okay, what does Vasu say? Kohli has to learn from Sachin. Why? What else is he gonna say now?
We're
learn
back,
to
lads.
fly. I mean, you have to take a cue from someone who's done it because, or Kohli could just watch his own innings from the past because there's clearly been some differences there.
let's talk about this. Mickey says talk about how Australians set up the Indian batters. More than setting up, I think the Australians have done great homework. They know exactly how to bowl to each player, especially with even Yashasvi Jaiswal. Like the field that was set, it was very clear that he was going to bowl it outside off and wide.
Yeah.
I think Jaiswal that flick to mid-wicket was just one of it. And even Stark to Shubman Gill. Like before this series started, he had never gotten Shubman Gill out. But in this series itself, he's gotten him out twice.
Yeah.
Bowling him outside off and just letting Gill play the shot. Because we all know Gill cannot control himself. I mean, he's naturally an attacking player. But that's no excuse if you're a number 3 batter for the test team. Even with Virat Kohli. I mean, the second Virat Kohli came on, Hazelwood is anyways bowling, but Hazelwood to Virat Kohli is what you want.
Yeah.
And Hazelwood just stuck it outside of again and again until you knew that Virat Kohli was going to get him. He was going to get himself out. I mean, or Hazelwood get
And
Virat Kohli
there was
out.
a very interesting passage of play, right? So before Kohli did leave a few balls, and then there was a short ball to Kohli.
By Stark.
And there was a brilliant observation, I think, by Mark Nicholas of how Kohli did not want to show that he was rattled by the short ball, and so he chased the next ball.
Yes.
So it's a lot of mind games more than the skill levels itself. At this point, it's just psychological. So, and Australia is clearly winning.
Yeah, and again, like
battle.
even coming back to Rishabh Pant, I mean, they have clear plans about how they want Pant to play straight.
Yeah.
And again, we come back to how in the Indian team you have Jasprit Bumrah and then youngsters trying to make their name in their squad, and Siraj trying to find his rhythm.
Yeah.
And then in the Australian squad, you have a Mitchell Starc, you have a Hazelwood, you have Pat Cummins, you have people coming at you again and again. There's no relief.
True.
And that is the main problem for the Indian team right now. Not only are they sticking to the plans, the Australian team, of course, and they have that experience with them.
Yeah. What is Adit saying? Thoughts on
Adit says,
Jaiswal?
thoughts on Jaiswal. I think he's getting a bit aggressive, impatient on scoring runs. In my opinion, he should take the first over easy.
I agree. I think obviously there's a certain style that each batter plays with, but Test cricket's not just about how you play, but how you play the situations, how you adapt.
Correct.
It's a lot of mind games. Everybody says this. Oh, we have a lot of viewers. Thanks all of you for tuning in. But yeah, that's what Test cricket's about. So if Jaiswal, and he showed that restraint when he got that big 100, right? He was leaving all of those deliveries outside the off stump. Exactly. Which is why it's very disappointing.
Zenith asks, is KL Rahul next opener till 2027 WTC cycle?
Feel like that might be the
Maybe
case
possible,
because at this point, I think Rohit and Kohli are not making a case for themselves for the next cycle anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Mickey asks, why does the Indian team approach not change? They want to hit rather than understand situation and time. It's not ODI or T20. That is very true. Dhruv, thank you so much for the super chat. Same player, same way of getting out over and over again. That is completely true. Thank you so much for that super chat. This is very interesting because you're right. I don't see a change in approach.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think, okay, see, Pratap and I were talking about this earlier. Like the second before we got on the live.
Yeah.
And that is, hey Shreyas, hi. I finally managed to join live after classes. That is fantastic. But we were talking about how, do you think the Indian batters batted the way they did to force a result?
Yeah.
And then Pratap said something very interesting of how you must be very confident to come out there and attack against this bowling attack.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think like it's so stupid. Forgive my language, but it's just really stupid how the top 3 batters of the Indian Test team have just gone out and thrown their wickets away in this fashion. Because even if your goal is to force a result, when you know that the forecast for the next 2 days of Test match is complete rain, are you out of your mind trying to get yourself into a follow-on? Like, what is happening? That is one thing I don't get. Secondly, even if they wanted to bat well, wanted to force a result, they should have just played out the new ball and then attacked. Like, that's what worked for Australia. There's a set template. The pitch doesn't have any demons.
True.
So why would you just not model or learn from what a team has just done in the previous innings?
Exactly, and by the time when Pant was batting, it did get better to bat on. Like there wasn't anything in the pitch as long as you were able to defend and leave good balls. Vaishali asks, how can India come with better bowling plans rather than depending on Bumrah? Very good question. That is a brilliant question. Do you
want to go first?
Go.
We both have opinions on this anyways. Here's the thing, right? I won't say India has been bowling too badly. Obviously, there has been an over-reliance on Bumrah.
Yes.
Deepak, thanks for the super chat. How long before Gill's long rope ends? It's going to take some
Yeah,
time because he's got runs in home series. Mr. PSP.
PSP for thank you so much for the super chat. Should Shami come back for the fourth? We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, coming back to the bowlers bit. Firstly, there has been a clear confusion around the spinner selection because every game till now there has been a change in spinner. So the team management themselves aren't sure what to do with that spot.
Correct.
The other concern is that India isn't batting well, because of which there is a need to play certain players. Yeah, you had Harshit Rana come in because of his batting abilities, because otherwise they would have just started with Akashdeep or Prasidh Krishna. How can they get better is probably by just playing one consistent lineup for some time so that they get experience.
True.
It's one thing to ball on practice pitches and in the nets, and it's a completely different thing to come and execute that in a match, get game time, get game experience. So that's what I think about
And
it.
even while executing plans, I don't think they stick to one plan long enough. So like you said, what can you do better? They need to come up with a set of plans. It can't be a plan A and B and then absolutely nothing. It should be A, B, C and D. And even if the D is just bringing on a spinner on, if it's as simple as that, I don't think they're sticking with their plans enough, especially with batters against like Travis Head. Like we've talked about this yesterday. We made a whole video about this too. But they don't stick with a certain plan long enough. They are too erratic, and I feel like the bowlers panic, or the captain. I don't know who panics. Someone panics, and then there's a whole plan change right after 2-3 overs. And you either see Bumrah coming back in, or you see a fourth seamer coming back. There is no consistency in plan. Like they just don't do it for long enough. Right? Should Shami come back in the fourth test match?
If he's fit, I don't think the Indians have any option at this point. There's been a lot of debate about whether or not to get him back. But I will say that there is no guarantee that if he comes back, he's still going to be getting wickets like he always has.
True.
And yeah, like it doesn't give you any kind of guarantee except for the fact that he's experienced. He's done it before.
Yes.
That's the one cushion he comes in with and can walk into the squad. Having said that, I don't think Akashdeep has fared too badly. Siraj obviously has been a little on and off. Shrikant, thanks for the super chat once again. A lot of super chats today, guys. Thank you. But yeah, I think that's my view on Shami. I don't see... it might be a psychological boost or a morale boost that he's back. But yeah, that's about it.
Crick fan. Again,
Thanks for the super chat.
Can you talk about why Siraj form has dipped so badly? He's only taking wickets, tail-ender's wicket. His last Gabba performance was so good, which is interesting. I'll talk about that. But there was another question. I forgot who asked. I'm sorry about that. They asked, like, what do you think? Like, was making Gautam Gambhir, the coach, a mistake?
I have been seeing the chat. A lot of people have been complaining about Rohit Sharma's captaincy and Gautam Gambhir's coaching style. For India to have such a drastic turnaround in terms of strategies or in terms of results obviously means that something there either isn't right, or the fact that there is a change in how plans are being executed or being strategized in the first place. So from that point of view, obviously Gautam Gambhir is under a lot of scrutiny. The sample size is also big enough now. It's not that India have only failed in one series here or there. They have been struggling for a bit. Having said that, Australia is also not an easy place to come and win test matches. We've just been spoiled
by winning the two series,
Yeah, so, and we're still 1-1 in the series.
True.
And this test match is most likely going to end up in a draw if forecast permits, if rains go on as they've been forecasted to. But yeah, I think by the end of BGT, a lot of things will clear out in terms of where Rohit is, senior players, Ashwin, Virat, even Jaddu maybe, who knows, and also the coaching situation. So yeah.
Coming back to Crick fans' question, you know, interestingly, yesterday I sat down to look at Mohammad Siraj and what's changed and what hasn't changed. A couple of things. One is action is almost the same as it was in 2018-19 and even after COVID. Like his action's been consistently the same. A lot of people have pointed this out of how his run-up has shortened, which is true. And there were a lot of articles that I read. Maybe him not being able to find his rhythm was because of his short run-up. But he did that midway through a series. But because even in Bangladesh, he had that long run. Oh, in Bangladesh is when you pointed out that he had the short.
So.
In the stadium, I think. But even before that, he was struggling to find his rhythm this season. And so maybe he shortened it for a reason. So I don't think him shortening his run-up is the problem. I just think he's not been able to find the amount of swing that he used to. And again, this is what I tried to look at, like why that's changed. I even zoomed into wrist positions and the seam positions. I wasn't able to find the answer. I don't know if he's not able to put enough revolutions on the ball. But I'm like, I
backspin,
can swing the ball. So I'm so sure if Siraj runs into ball with that much momentum, he can too. I honestly think. Okay, one of the things is maybe he's not finding the amount of swing.
Yeah.
We don't have stats to back that up, so take that with a grain of salt. I just think he's a little more inconsistent than he used to be before. Even before he was, but then he would get that odd wicket and then he'd get happy and all of that.
Yeah.
I just think he's not potent because he's not consistent with his line and length.
Right.
And he doesn't stick to that.
Right, because he's definitely not been bowling a fuller length regularly as compared to earlier. That could also be because of what the captain or the team expects of him. Maybe his role is still to bowl with the new ball.
True.
But still, I think there might be some kind of change, or if he's getting attacked regularly, guys, I'm stuck, but now I'm back. Am I? Yeah. But yeah, that's the point. So definitely inconsistencies, as you said. Coming to the whole, I'm being moved once again. Coming to the whole aspect of him shortening his run up, that doesn't really affect anything as far as we understand in terms of momentum and all of that. And you'll also see that his pace or anything has not decreased or increased for that matter. It could just be for him to have longer spells.
True.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting question. Mickey asked, during Virat's captaincy, he ensured that we play 6 batters and 5 bowlers. Now we don't have more than 3 proper bowler and has very long batting lineup, still no use. That's like that. You've answered. I mean, you weren't asking, so I apologize for that. But like, you've given the answer to your own statement.
Yeah.
We talked about this and we did criticize Rohit Sharma for why he's not playing 4 proper fast bowlers. But then you come back to, when Virat was captain, he was also, I mean, I don't want to say lucky. Of course, he's the best test captain India has had. But he was also blessed with having proper batters in form. And you had Virat Kohli himself in form. And you would just pile on runs and runs and runs.
You had Pujara stepping up.
Yeah, you had Rahane stepping up.
Yeah.
Shikhar Dhawan at times, Murli Vijay at times, KL Rahul, and all of these guys scoring runs. Unfortunately, under Rohit Sharma's captaincy, batters are just not in form. I don't know if that's the management's fault or the batter's fault, or whoever's fault, but Rohit Sharma has to play extra batters because the top order just isn't contributing much.
Plus, there seems to be a certain infatuation towards all-rounders in Gautam Gambhir's captaincy, which Vasu has also pointed out.
Correct.
So, yeah, that is another thing. What is Zenith Rao saying? Someone said, have you played EA Sports Credo 7? Yeah, that's our childhood.
A lot of it. That's very true, Vasu. Though Gambhir's infatuation with all-rounders. The second Gambhir became the coach. Washington Sundar came in, and now we suddenly have a lot of all-rounders. Yeah, Nitish Kumar, Harshit Rana, even the T20.
Ramandeep Singh.
Ramandeep Singh, even in the T20 side that went to South Africa. Yeah. We don't have a batting coach. We do have a batting coach. Okay, so an interesting story. Rohit Sharma gets dropped from the 2011 World Cup. He goes back to Abhishek Nair, works with him, and the reason Rohit Sharma is what he is today, he gives Abhishek Nair a lot of credit. A lot of Mumbai batters, in fact, give Abhishek Nair a lot of credit because Abhishek Nair is genuinely a good coach. Even in the KKR setup, a lot of batters who haven't played for the Indian team, who are, what are they called? People who don't play for the Indian team, like the IPL players? Uncapped. A lot of uncapped players give credit to Abhishek Nair because Abhishek Nair is genuinely a good coach. Except when you come to the Indian team, you have to deal with a lot of egos.
Yeah, there's a lot of balancing of egos. It just doesn't come down to the coach saying, you do this, and the player will do it because the player has a reputation. The player's been at the international stage. I've been there, done that. Why will I listen to you?
And we are not saying that's what happens, but the chemistry changes when you become the national coach.
Yeah, Abhishek Nair is assistant coach, yes, but I'm sure there is batting input, obviously.
Yeah, Abhishek Nair is a assistant. No, I think he's a batting coach. I mean, Ryan Tendeskade, Mone Mokal, Abhishek Nair.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and I mean, at least I'm not aware of another.
Well, Adit has been asking a silly question for a while. Does ICT not give a chance to Bhuvi instead of Siraj? We have a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar video coming out tomorrow. Yeah, so hopefully you'll get your answer there.
I mean, we can still touch upon it.
Yeah,
Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, him getting dropped was, I want to say unlucky because Virat Kohli was building a bowling lineup who is fast and who is dangerous. And you had someone like an Umesh Yadav, Mohammad Shami, Ishant Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah. Yeah. And so the last time Bhuvaneshwar Kumar played a test series was in 2018, the South Africa tour. Yeah. Interestingly, in 2021, before the WTC cycle, there were a lot of talks about how we need Bhuvi back. Yeah. Except The last time he played Ranji Trophy cricket was in 2016.
Ooh.
So, I mean,
Then
I don't know if he's played recently, but
Hmm.
in 2021, when this
Right.
conversation was going about,
Yeah.
the last time he had played Test cricket was in 2018. Before that,
Hmm.
first class cricket in 2016.
Right.
Why would you
Just
pick
pick him
someone,
back into the
for someone who was so injury prone after 2018? It just doesn't make sense.
What does Stark Edit say? Your views on India?
Stark edits. Your views on India keeping long off and long on field set up for someone like a Mitchell Stark and Alex Carey. Go on, Pratip. Go on.
Oh, I have a lot of opinions about the field settings in place. In my view, they're not the best field settings. Having said that, Alex Carey, I can still understand
Yeah.
having long on, long off because he was well set. He was taking the attack.
And he's batted brilliantly this
And
season.
he's batted brilliantly, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. So, in his case, it makes sense because you don't want to give away the easy runs or the easy boundaries, and you can probably bring the field in on the fourth or fifth ball of the over when he's looking to take that single and give it to the non-striker,
Correct.
or give it to the tail ender rather. So that's for Alex Carey. I'm still okay with that. But when it comes to Mitchell Stark, clearly I don't see the point of having the deep fielders because it's easier for you to get Stark to attack with the field in, and he's more likely to edge it, top edge it, something like that, because he's a tail ender. He's not a batter. I'm not saying he's a bad batsman, but I think the Indian bowlers are good enough to be able to get him to make that error. That's what I think.
Driving Game asks an interesting question. A player that I know you like. Why can't they try Harshdeep Singh in tests?
Very interesting. Honestly, I'm not sure because at the start, like when we were in the New Zealand series, there were all these conversations about Gumby and management wanting to take a left arm pacer,
Yes.
which they took in the form of Yash Dayal and also Khalil, I want to say.
Yeah.
But they obviously didn't try them. They just had them in the reserves.
Khalil then got injured also.
Khalil also got injured, which has been the case for Khalil for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think with Arshdeep, it's very interesting because he's done amazing in white ball.
He's gone to county also.
He's gone to county as well. He's done well in the county itself, red ball. Also in the Duleep Trophy, he did pretty decent. So I don't think it's going to be too long before they move on to one of these left arm options.
Yeah.
Yash Dayal has been around the mix for a while. But yeah, like it would just add variety. But I think the main thing for the Indian team now is they need someone who's consistent.
Correct. I was just going to say that.
Because variety is one thing. You could get different kinds of bowlers, but if they don't hit the mark, then it doesn't make any sense.
If you don't give them game time. I mean, the best example is Nitish Kumar Reddy. I feel like his bowling has improved game on game, except how much can you depend on him in a series like the BGT?
Yeah.
Giridharan. Oh, Vasudevan only batsman. Oh, sorry. You're speaking amongst yourself. Sadagopa Ramakrishna. Hey, you're here. Does Kohli have ego to not leave the balls outside the fourth stump?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. Because, okay, more than ego, if you don't want to put it that way, it's about how Kohli has always been as a player, as a batter, right? He's someone who likes to dominate the opposition. And his idea of domination is probably getting bat on ball, letting the ball hit the middle of the bat, getting that early boundary to put these guys under pressure. That's something he also did in the previous series here. He would generally play his strokes and everything.
Correct.
But I think this time there's a lot of things that changed. Kohli isn't in the best of form for starters.
Right.
And the other thing is he's also chasing the wrong deliveries. Technically, his weight is not there. It's not moving towards the ball.
True.
It is hanging back. So there's a lot of doubts and he's very double-minded about deliveries to play or leave. You'll also see that in his couple of dismissals where he got hit on the glove.
That's true.
So yeah, it's a lot of that.
You know, Vasu, I have no idea what the conversation is, but I think you tagged Giridhar and you were wondering about the last, right? I'm actually thinking for our last bowler who came in via Ranji, and who was that? Interestingly, under Ajit Agarkar, I mean, before Gautam Gambhir, I want to say, but under Ajit Agarkar, while Rahul Dravid was also the coach, a lot of our bowlers did come through Ranji Trophy. Mukesh Kumar was through Ranji. Akashdeep was through Ranji.
Correct.
All of these guys, Yash Dayal is Ranji Trophy.
Yeah.
All of these guys who are in the current bowling setup, except for Harshit Rana and Nitish Kumar Reddy, which is again Gambhir's coaching management. A lot of these guys came under via Ranji. Sarfaraz Khan as a batter coming via Ranji. But like a lot of our bowlers who debuted for the Indian team under Ajit Agarkar, the selection committee, and Rahul Dravid were all Ranji Trophy players. So Ranji Trophy players were rewarded.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a misconception that they weren't and IPL performances were taken, which is completely not true. I have no idea if that's what you guys were talking about. But I know I've heard a lot about this discussion, so I just wanted to put it out there. Zenith, due to this aggressive batting and fall shots, we are getting all out much sooner than the last two VGTs in Australia. Due to this, Australia try will be fresh. They will be very effective in Melbourne and Sydney.
That is spot on.
Very interesting.
There's not been much workload for them, honestly, because the Indian batters just roll over.
Yeah.
That's what has been happening. That's true.
Pranav, is India seeing the effects of winning the bowling lottery with Bumrah? Were our failures hit because of Bumrah's consistency? And the lower order doing well.
And the lower order doing well. Yeah, I think that's a bigger point because at least at home, I would still say that spin had an impact. Our fast bowlers were still doing okay because they knew those conditions better. Obviously, Bumrah is an absolute jackpot and he's going to be there for some time. But the lower order would always save India's batting the blushes.
True.
We've also made a video on this. And yeah, I think that's mainly it, right? And now because our bowlers are sort of losing form due to whatever it may be, more workload because of them having to come on the pitch again and again and ball because our batters just roll over. It's just a lot of things compounding and now you're sort of seeing that all come together.
We will take a couple more questions and then we will go because this has been a longer than usual live. Also because a lot of you guys have joined us. Arvind asked, should Virat try no cover drive innings or just mend his technique and what should he exactly do? I have, you want to, I have a take on this because see what Sachin did. There's a reason why we only point at Sachin and no other international batter because to take out a shot from your book is almost impossible. The fact that Sachin can do it, there's a reason he played 200 test matches. There's a reason he had his 100 test matches and all of that.
Yeah.
Virat Kohli, there's no technical issue per se. He just needs to know where his off stump is. He can attack, do whatever he wants to do. As long as he starts leaving the ball fifth stump outside off. I think that's the only thing he needs to do. Even if it's fourth and if he chases it and if he gets out, I'd be fine with that. It's the fifth, sixth and seventh which I don't understand. And if you can't leave that, you just shouldn't play test cricket anymore. Yeah. And it's just that.
Yeah, especially at the start of your innings when you're not set, when you're still trying to understand the pace of the pitch, because each pitch is different, all conditions are different. Why would you go poking at something irrespective of who you are? This is where great batters come to the fore, right? This is where Sachin, this is where everyone, even Virat in his peak for that matter, they would start from zero in every innings that they played.
Correct.
That's all it was.
Srikanth, we'll take 2-3 more questions and this is it. Srikanth asks, why does Indian batsmen have problem to leave the balls, which is new? Literally, we lose wickets because we don't know how to leave the balls. We just want to middle the ball all their time.
This is a very interesting question. There is no single answer. Some people will say it's because of a lot of white ball cricket. It's because of the kind of selections that have come where we have been influenced by white ball cricket and the kind of performances that certain players have put in the ODI setup and then been moved to the test squad. That is one thing. On comms, they were talking about how Shubman Gill has a reputation of being someone who's a stroke player. Okay, Gaurav on, I can't read the entire thing, but thanks for the super chat. We won the last series in Australia only because there was no Virat and Rohit.
I mean, Virat was there in the 2019.
Yeah, Virat was there. He scored a century also. So that's a little not true, but Rohit also actually played a decent 44 knock at Gabba. But yeah, coming back to the leaving the balls point and why batsmen keep chasing it, it's got to do with Australia playing on their ego. It's got to do with them being short of runs, looking to get those quick runs. It's got a lot to do with the advent of T20 cricket. It's got to do with lack of time for preparation for red ball. Lot of things. Yeah. So yeah,
there was an interesting question. I completely forgot who it's by. But they pointed out how Akash Chopra said that Siraj has bowled the most number of overs in Test cricket either this year or the last couple of years. I don't know what exactly the stat is, but I read this too. And do you think that's the problem?
Fatigue.
Yeah.
Could very well be because he does not look the same Siraj that we knew him to be.
You know what's interesting? This isn't even his worst season in terms of average in his Test seasons that he's played so far.
Oh.
Yeah. When I was
that was very interesting.
When I was looking up like what's happened to him, I came across this. Right. Sadagopa Ramakrishna, also I noticed this is the first time there was patience with batsmen. After Rohit's arrival, did they switch to playing with intent and are getting out constantly? Also Ash over Jaddu in Australia.
That is an interesting observation. And I kind of want to tend to saying that it's true to some extent. There has been a little bit of change in style of how the Indian batting has gone about since Rohit is here. Could just be coincidence. Maybe because of different styles of captaincy and Rohit wanting to apply pressure by the batsman scoring runs. That is one way to look at it. Or
That it could be a mixture of a lot of things because Yashasvi Jaiswal's arrival also changed things the way the openers in Indian Test cricket went about things.
Yeah.
Yashasvi Jaiswal would also play like this in first class cricket, so for him to continue doing that in Indian team wasn't a surprise.
Right.
And so Rohit Sharma doing what he does. Yeah, I mean him not being able to leave the balls like he did a couple of years ago is a bit of a surprise, but I think because Yashasvi is playing the way, I feel like he also feels like he needs to play that way. But saying that, and then you have someone like a we've made a video on this.
We have.
Yeah, then we have someone like a Shubman Gill,
Yeah.
who again is an attacking batter. We have someone like a Virat Kohli, who again is an attacking batter. Then we have someone like a Rishabh Pant, who's again an attacking batter.
And then you had Sarfaraz in the middle at that time, who was also an attacking batter.
Yeah. I mean, KL Rahul is the only one who stays, which is a very big issue. We don't have someone who can stay.
Yeah.
And you don't need someone like, someone like a Pujara. I mean, as much as he's done so much for Test cricket, and I absolutely adore him, but you don't need someone like him who can score 2 in about 30-40 balls in a bad day. I'm just clearing that out. But I'm just saying we need someone who can stay in the crease long enough who they don't necessarily need to score runs. And this batting lineup, they really do need to score runs. And that is how they go about their batting.
Srivatsav, thanks for the super chat.
Thank you so much for that.
Draw match for sure. Yeah. As per rain forecast, if India don't do anything stupid from here on out, just play out whatever remaining overs there are. Hopefully it's a draw. I'm getting a lot of tags.
Yeah, you guys realize you guys can tag us.
Yeah.
Right. We'll take 2 more questions and then we have to move on. So we apologize. We will be back tomorrow even if it rains anyway. Right. So Anirudh asks, we don't have the temperament to play Test cricket anymore. The mindset needs a lot of work. There was a time we used to play 120 overs. Now we can't even last 50. Yeah. What a shame.
That is actually very true, because this also happens to be the year where India has played the least number of overs on average. They aren't even playing, I want to say the figure was around 78, 72 overs, something like that. We've done a video on that as well. But yeah, so...
Yeah, basically we don't even last entire day.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's sad.
Right, we'll take a couple... Hey, Parker, hi buddy. I liked how you tagged us. Guys, you should do a Cricket 24 game stream of BGT. First of all, we have to buy the game. And second, we have to be good at the game.
Tag them, ask them to sponsor us. Then
we'll do all of this. Raghav, nobody talks about Rohit's captaincy, while Virat, on the other hand, would have had a short leg on the face of the batsman, whereas Rohit did not have a single one. Yeah, that is true.
That is true. And this was an observation Ashwin made. Ashwin, my co-host, yesterday when Jaddu came into ball after tea as well, despite no batter really being set per se, there was no short leg, there was no leg slip. Clearly, we've spoken about this at length multiple times in almost all of our lives of how the field settings have been dismal.
You know, this is interesting. Keithan says people talk about Rahul's average. Why not talk about Gill's average after 31 tests? Yes, it needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
During the England home series, we wanted him dropped, except he started scoring again. And then he became the second highest scorer for the Indian team.
Yeah.
So then you can't drop him because he did score those runs.
Yeah.
And so he didn't perform in the New Zealand series, missed out on the first test match in PGT, and then didn't perform in the second test match here also. I mean, at this point.
Yeah, with Gill, it's almost tending towards how it was for Rahul and how it was for Rahane, where... they have played difficult knocks and difficult situations, but Gill isn't even doing that. He's usually just getting his big runs on tracks that are relatively easier to play on. And on tracks that are even tough, he looks good, he gets a 20 or a 30 and then he's gone. So that's something that he will have to work on.
We'll take one last question. This was our title yesterday. Should they axe Rohit after this WTC cycle? If we lose this the way we are losing, I'm fine with losing the series if we fight, and we aren't doing that right now.
Yeah.
And yes, he will be sacked. Like, no questions asked, because the next series, I mean, if we lose the series, we don't go to the WTC final, and the next cycle starts in July in England, and I don't see Rohit Sharma captaining there if we lose the way we are right now.
And the thing also is, it's not just his captaincy. He's not scoring any runs either. So it's two things that India will have to lose.
So right, that has been from the stands. That was very long. We don't usually do it this long. But let's talk about what should India do tomorrow? And that is hope that it rains the entire day. And the next day.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's a draw. I mean, what India should normally do tomorrow is they should just bat as long as they can, and if he can score runs, well and good.
Yeah.
But for now, the only possible thing we can try is to avoid the follow-on, which is such a big task. 194 runs
Still, yeah.
to avoid the follow-on, and so KL Rahul needs to continue batting the way he is. And who is with him? Rohit Sharma.
Rohit's with him, of course.
Yeah.
Let's
So
see
Rohit-
how long that lasts.
Yeah, so Rohit, the captain, needs to step up. He hasn't scored. Again, this is only his second test match in this series, but he hasn't scored for a while this season. So he and KL Rahul will need to bat as long as they possibly can. And Rohit Sharma, the captain, needs to step up as the batsman.
Yeah.
This has been our live view. A lot of you guys on a Monday afternoon joined us, which was a shock to us.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that. We will do this every day of the test match. Like I always tell you, we have a lot of segments covering a lot of different things. If you do want to finish it on a note though, what should Australians do tomorrow?
Australians tomorrow, I think Australia missed a trick yesterday by not declaring, because then they could have probably had India all out by today morning, considering how things were going. But for Australia, I think there's not too much they can do. I think they've done whatever damage they could today.
How do you think they should go about getting KL Rahul out?
Oh, that's a good question. Probably try some short stuff,
Yeah.
pepper him a bit, have a field for where you have like fine leg, deep square, all of that, and then just pitch one up.
Yeah,
See
that's
if he
true.
kind of pokes the bat at it.
That is very true.
Sadagopal says, don't go. Unfortunately, we will have to go. We will have to close this, but we will be back tomorrow.
Yeah, same time.
Yeah.
Around the same time.
Yeah, either 1:30 or 2, irrespective of if there's any play tomorrow.
One question. One question. Let's just say there is plain and worst case scenario. India get all out for, I don't know, trailing by, let's say, 300 or 250, which means follow-on is still at play. As an Australian team, will you enforce the follow-on, or will you tell the batters to go out there and bat?
As an Australian team, it's probably better for me to enforce follow-on, because first of all, India still need to get 250 runs, and then the lead will start.
Correct.
Considering all of the rain at play, considering the stoppages, the start-stop, it'll be much easier because the bowlers will remain fresher. They will be able to put pressure and get wickets. And essentially, you could close out the game in one innings lesser. So that is what I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this has mostly been what Australia should do.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you guys so much for watching. It was a lot of fun. We do this every day of the test match. We will do this every day of every test match of this series, and then we'll see where life goes. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of disappointment, but it's been a lot of fun here. Thank you for all the super chats again. We really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, do that. If you guys can share it to your friends, do that too. If they enjoy cricket and enjoy stuff like this, do that. We have a video coming out tomorrow.
That, and yeah, obviously Tuesday videos coming out. Also, if I know a lot of you guys still want to hang out and chat, we will have a chill live where we can keep chatting and like
we
spend
will
some
have
time.
a chill live where we can just have a conversation and not really talk about India's disappointments. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Peace.